Hello everyone, I'm Taylor Pampico. For today's video, we'll be looking at the Springfield Armory 1911 A1. Now before I go any further, I'll ensure this firearm is clear. We're good. Let's continue, shall we? I picked this up the same time as that 1903 Springfield I've mentioned a few times before. Don't have that rifle anymore, don't really miss it either. And this is the first 1911 I ever owned. I bought it, well I paid it off I should say, in February of 2018. The only reason I remember that is that's when I was still working at the adult store as well as the gun store. Fun times. In addition to just wanting a 1911, the reason I wanted this particular firearm was it was used, or at least one like it was used by Milla Jovovich and Michelle Rodriguez in the first Resident Evil film. While I was able to make it similar to that 1911, it does not have the accessory rail which is featured throughout the film. I did what I could to locate a trigger that resembled the one on that 1911. Another great aspect about changing the stock trigger for this aftermarket trigger is that you can actually adjust this one. The Pac-Man grips was probably the easiest part to find considering they're everywhere. This being a used 1911 when it came into my possession, the first thing I did before dropping the new trigger in and putting the Pac-Man grips on was a complete detail strip and thorough cleaning. Whoever owned it before I did, shot it, never cleaned it. And in all honesty, detail stripping 1911, at least for me anyway, isn't too difficult. Well, now it isn't. If you wanted me to even attempt that 6 years ago, more than likely I'd be watching a video on YouTube as I'm doing it. Now it's no problem. In fact, that's why I made a video of me detail stripping not this one, but the Colt Government model. That way I can always go back to my own video for reference. As I said in that particular 1911 video, that one and this 1911 are not very smooth shooting. I'm thinking it might be the recoil spring itself. In time, I'll try a different recoil spring that might solve the issue. When that time comes, I don't know. I'm not really shooting this gun at this time. Now, of course, after saying that, kind of want to go to the range with this one. Now, something I've mentioned before is how I like to keep round counts of firearms. Some I do, some I don't. This one I generally don't. I wish I had, and the reason for that is a few years ago when I was actually on the range with this firearm, I'm shooting, then all of a sudden, instead of a bang, I get a click. So I have to do what Hollywood does and cock the hammer, squeeze the trigger, this time it goes off. I'm thinking, was it a light primer strike? Was it just a dud? Turns out it was a light primer strike. I figured, okay, I know exactly what the problem is. All I had to do was change out the firing pin spring, went back the next day, gun worked flawlessly. So far, that spring was the only component that required changing to keep this firearm up and running. And for those of you who are wondering, changing the firing pin spring is very simple. Overall, would I ever buy another Springfield 1911? I would. I was looking at some of their more classic 1911s they've been offering. For the price, you really can't beat them. However, if it was between a Springfield and a Colt, I'm going to choose the Colt over Springfield any day. But that's just me. Well, that was my rant video on the Springfield Armory 1911 A1, a video long overdue, that's for sure. If you enjoyed it, remember to subscribe if you haven't already, click that bell icon to notify when I upload new content, leave any comments you have in the section below, and have a good day. See ya!